Indian artisans.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all members of the audience, I'd like to wish a very warm welcome to Vice Admiral Gulcharan Singh, Chief of Personnel of the Indian Navy. So your presence is always inspiring. So dear guests, as we wait for the arrival of our guest of honor, let me brief you about INSV Kaundi, which is Indian Navy's pioneering stitched wooden sailing vessel that revives India's ancient shipbuilding and seafaring traditions. The vessel shall be flagged off today for her maiden oceanic voyage from Porbandar, Gujarat to Muscat, the capital of the Sultanate of Oman, symbolically retracing the historic maritime routes that connected ancient India with countries and communities across the Indian Ocean. Shri Sanjeev Sanyal, the economic advisor to the Prime Minister of India, was inspired by a 5th century painting in the Ajanta caves, and drawing upon traditional shipbuilding techniques, Shri Sanjeev Sanyal conceptualized this project as a tangible tribute to India's maritime legacy, to stitch together history and modernity by resurrecting the stitched ship method, where wooden planks are sewn together using coir ropes and coconut fiber, sealed with natural resin, an engineering marvel which is practiced by Indian shipwrights for centuries. Inspired by depictions of ancient Indian ships and constructed entirely using traditional stitched plank techniques, INSV Kaundi represents a rare convergence of history, craftsmanship, and modern naval expertise. As part of India's efforts to rediscover and revive indigenous knowledge systems, this project came to life through an extraordinary collaboration between the Ministry of Culture, the Indian Navy, and Goa-based shipbuilders Messrs. Hodi Innovations. Unlike contemporary vessels, the wooden planks of INSV Kaundi are stitched together using coconut coir ropes and sealed with natural resins, reflecting a shipbuilding tradition once prevalent along India's coasts. And the ancient technology enabled Indian mariners to undertake long-distance voyages to West Asia, Africa, Southeast Asia, long before the advent of modern navigation and metallurgy. It is a matter of great pride and confidence for all that the Indian Navy oversaw the design, construction, and technical validation of INSV Kaundi. Every aspect of this vessel, from its hull geometry to its square cotton sails and steering oars, was based on historical iconography and meticulous research. When the ship was formally commissioned in May 2025 at the Karwar Naval Base, it became not just a preservation of heritage, but a living sailing monument using only wind and traditional navigation, retracing historic trade routes across the oceans. Named after the legendary mariner Kaundi, who believed to have sailed from India to Southeast Asia in ancient times, the ship embodies India's historic role as a maritime nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we await the arrival of our dignitaries, let me also share with you inspiring facts about our senior officers. Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan, Ati Vishish Seva Medal, assumed charge as the Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of Western Naval Command on the 31st of July 2025. Vice Admiral Swaminathan is a specialist in communications and electronic warfare. Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan's educational qualifications include a BSc degree from Jawaharlal Nehru University, MSc in Telecommunications from Cochin University, Master of Arts in Defence Studies from King's College London, Master of Philosophy in Strategic Studies from Mumbai University, and a PhD in International Studies from Mumbai University. As a distinguished flag officer of the Indian Navy, he has served as the Chief of Personnel, the Controller of Personnel Services, Chief of Staff of the Western Naval Command, Flag Officer, Defence Advisory Group, Flag Officer Commanding Western Fleet, and Flag Officer Sea Training. And prior to his current appointment as the Flag Officer in Chief Western Naval Command, Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan served as the 46th Vice Chief of Naval Staff at the Naval Headquarters. For today's historic occasion, our guest of honor is His Excellency Ambassador Issa Saleh Al Shibani, the Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman. We shall be witnessing the arrival of His Excellency Ambassador Al Shibani in a short while from now. Ambassador Al Shibani is a graduate in English literature and a master's degree holder in international business and diplomacy. His professional accomplishments include several international diplomatic appointments. And prior to his present appointments, Ambassador Al Shibani was the Deputy Head of Mission in the Oman Embassy at London. And now, as the Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman, His Excellency Ambassador Al Shibani is one of the youngest ambassadors in India. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall witness the arrival of our guest of honor in a few moments from now. But there is time for me to share with you the details about those special people who were involved in creation of INSV Kondinya. Captain Prashant Menon, officer in charge of the ocean sailing node, has been the backbone in preparation for this historic voyage. He led the training of the crew, planned the expedition in meticulous detail, and brought to this mission the experience of having steered several successful oceanic expeditions and circumnavigations for India. His extensive experience and impeccable professionalism has ensured that the crew are fully prepared to undertake this historic voyage. So who was the person? Who was the person behind creating such a design? Who created reality from theory? Commander Y. Hemant Kumar, a naval architect, was the driving force behind turning history into a living vessel from the very first conceptual discussions, beginning with a meeting with Sri Sanjeev Sanyal in December 2021 at New Delhi. Commander Hemant Kumar led the entire journey of conceptualization, design and construction. With no precedents, no drawings, and no modern design guidelines to rely on, the ship had to be conceived entirely from first principles. Under his stewardship, a centuries-old Ajanta painting was transformed into an ocean-going sailing vessel. And as we move on, I'd like to wish a very warm welcome to Sri Sanjeev Sanyal, the Economic Advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister of India. Like we mentioned, the man who was behind bringing this dream into reality. And members of the media have been inquiring about who is going to be the skipper of this vessel. Commander Vikas Shiron has taken on the responsibility very few skippers anywhere in the world have ever faced. To command a wooden vessel powered by ancient sails and guided by an ancient steering system demands just not seamanship, but exceptional courage and judgment. By accepting this challenge, Commander Vikas Shiron embodies the very spirit of exploration that this voyage celebrates. For members of the media, you must know the fact that Commander Vikas Sharon, who is the skipper of INSV Kondinya, as the ship is about to begin its maiden oceanic voyage, Commander Vikas Sharon is also a mountaineer. So he's a person who takes on challenges and always overcomes with his courage and judgments and absolute spirit of being a naval officer. The crew of INSV Kondinya are not merely sailors, they are pioneers with no living tradition or handbook to guide them. Just imagine, you're going to go and cross an oceanic voyage without a handbook, no standard operating procedures, with no living tradition or handbook to guide them. They had to learn how to sail this ancient stitched ship from first principles, rediscovering lost knowledge through practice, patience, and perseverance. Their bravery lies not only venturing into the open sea, but in choosing to do so without precedent, guided by commitment, teamwork, and an unwavering faith in the ship and in each other. In every sense, they are going to be creating history. On behalf of all members of the audience, I'd like to wish the very best of luck to Captain Prashant Menon, Commander Hemant Kumar, Commander Vikas Sharon, and the entire crew of INSV Kondinya. Best wishes from all of us who are present here, but I can tell you, the entire nation feels and prays for your success. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments from now, we are about to witness the arrival of our guest of honor, the Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman, Ambassador Al-Shabani. The Honorable Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman, His Excellency Mr. Issa Saleh Abdullah Saleh Al-Shabani. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have the presence of the Honorable Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman, His Excellency Mr. Issa Saleh Abdullah Saleh Al-Shabani, as the guest of honor for today's historic occasion. I request all members of the audience to kindly welcome our guest of honor, His Excellency Ambassador Al-Shabani, with a hearty round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, how fortunate we are to be present here today to witness this historic occasion, the flag-off ceremony of INSV Kondinya, which is about to commence her maiden oceanic voyage from the historic port of Porbandar to Muscat, the capital of the Sultanate of Oman, a voyage which is one of the most historic trans-ocean trading routes on planet Earth, and also the foundation of the historic friendly relations between India and the Sultanate of Oman. Under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, our country has achieved yet another historic landmark that we shall witness today, as this iconic, handcrafted, traditionally built wooden sailing vessel, yes, you heard me right, handcrafted, traditionally built wooden sailing vessel INSV Condinia is ready to cast off on her maiden oceanic voyage, a mission that revives the spirit and glorifies the ancient maritime heritage of India. Thanks to the generous and motivational support of our Honorable Raksha Mantri, Shri Rajnath Singh, and under the dynamic leadership of our Navy Chief, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi, the Indian Navy worked in tandem with the Ministry of Culture and Goa-based shipbuilders, Messrs. Hodi Innovations, and our Navy led this very special project as a part of India's efforts to rediscover and revive our ancient and traditional knowledge systems. 1,000 years back, there was no electricity. There was no engineering. There was no machinery. There were no computers. There was no internet. And definitely there was no social media. So just imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the level of craftsmanship, skills and expertise that existed in ancient India to build such an ocean-going, deep-sea sailing vessel using only wood, coir ropes and natural resins. And imagine the scientific and maritime knowledge of ancient Indian mariners who voyaged across oceans simply relying on astronavigation. I would now like to request Captain Prashant Menon, officer in charge of the Ocean Sailing Node, to kindly present his briefing on INSV Condinia.
May I have your permission to resume, sir? His Excellency Isha Saleh Abdullah Saleh Al Shibani, Ambassador of Sultanate of Oman to India, Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan, AVSM, VSM, Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Western Naval Command, Flag Officers, Senior Officers, distinguished guests, crew of INSV Condinia, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is a great honor that I, as officer in charge of the Ocean Sailing Node, entrusted with the training of the crew and planning the voyage of INSV Condinia, stand before you on this historic day. For those of us directly involved, this moment marks culmination of a long journey of preparation, learning, and responsibility. Ocean Sailing Node has over the years executed several blue water sailing expeditions, including circumnavigations, that tested endurance at sea and Navy's planning skill ashore. Yet I must state with humility that training of crew and planning the voyage of INSV Condinia has brought challenges unlike any we have faced before. Condinia is a traditionally stitched wooden vessel, built using natural material and ancient methods. Her structural behavior, rigging, and response to sea are fundamentally different from contemporary sailboats. Her rigging is entirely traditional, rigging with natural fiber, wooden blocks, and square sails requiring constant manual handling. Even the simplest evolution like hoisting, lowering, tacking, jibing demands time, teamwork, and physical effort. Training the crew for such a vessel has therefore required careful balance. While the crew is experiencing this form of sailing for the first time, the open ocean permits no margin for error. The approach has been patient yet rigorous, ensuring that each sailor understands not only the procedures but the ship herself. Their preparation has included traditional seamanship, basic woodship carpentry, coir rope work, handling wooden blocks, square ship evolution, manual sail hoisting and lowering in varying conditions, working aboard on traditional rigging with as much as 25 days and night at sea. A further challenge lies in the modern maritime environment. Centuries ago, when ships sailed, the seas were vast and largely uncluttered. Today, the Arabian Sea is one of the world's busiest maritime environment, with heavy commercial traffic, constrained sea lanes, and complex traffic separation schemes. Planning this voyage has required integrating the ancient sailing techniques with modern navigational awareness, safety protocols, and coordination while preserving the authenticity of the expedition. What gives me confidence is the crew. I know their strength, discipline, and commitment. They have trained hard, adapted with maturity, and embraced the demands of the ship. They understand the significance of attempting to sail a traditionally built Indian vessel across open ocean after centuries. I express my gratitude to the leadership of Indian Navy for supporting an endeavor that stands at the intersection of heritage, training, and operational challenge. I also thank institutions, designers, craftsmen, boat builders, and historians whose dedication has made this voyage possible. The voyage from Porbandar to Muscat will take 15 to 16 days, followed by 20 to 22 days of return passage, amounting to nearly 40 days at sea. And as she sails from these historic shores towards Oman, she carries the weight of history and the professionalism of today's Indian sailor. Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now display a special short film about this special national project, INSV Kondinya.
Today, on this historic day, the launch of the Stitched Ship, a remarkable project envisioned by the Government of India. Ships were constructed without nails, using ingenious techniques of stitching wooden planks together.
Both side, lower and upper press ready. Upper yard arm starboard brace. Lower yard arm starboard brace.
Navy control, water pipe. Continuously communicate with Kondinya. Navy control Kondinya have custom.
So this design is actually based on a painting in Ajanta. So I made this idea to many people, including the Honorable Prime Minister, and so they supported me, funding from the Ministry of Culture and the support of the Indian Navy. The fact that the technology that was used to build these ancient ships was a very peculiar one. They didn't nail their ships together for the most part. Dominant technology was of stitching these ships together. The planks were taken and they were stitched together.
Here the planks that we are using are called Anjali. So this wood needs to be bent to suit the shape of the ship. The way we achieve that is, plank is first is clamped and then you pour hot water on that. So that is poured over a period of 2-3 days and then hammered and that shape is got.
To understand what the keel is, this is the backbone of the ship, and this is in some ways has to be the strongest part, and that has already been laid out. It goes all the way. Remember, the ship is going to be 21 meters long.
Foundation രണ്ട് പീസാണ് അത് ജോയിൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. ആദ്യം നമ്മൾ അതിൻ്റെ ലെവൽ കണക്കാക്കി ജോയിൻ്റ് ആക്കി എന്നിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കട്ടേൻ്റെ മുകളിൽ സീറ്റിംഗ് ആയിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ കട്ട വെക്കും. കട്ട മുകളിൽ ആ ഫൗണ്ടേഷൻ ഇങ്ങനെ വെക്കും.
I said, where is the design? He said, this is the design. Can you build it?
It is a much bigger challenge than building Madai and Tali.
We had to procure the right kind of wood while procuring the raw material. We are procuring natural materials like kundrus, which is a resin that they are using between the planks.
इसी नहीं है, इसी का काम नहीं है, हार्ड वर्क है.
The design is also being tested at IIT Madras. They are going to do experiments and validate it.
There have been a lot of challenges that we've had to face, since the construction of the ship. The rains in Goa have been quite crazy this year.
Do remember that this ship is 1600 to 2000 year old design. This Harappan anchor is a 4 to 5000 year old design.
I now request Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan, Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Western Naval Command. Sir, could you please address the audience?
His Excellency Isa Saleh Abdullah Al-Shibani, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman to India, Shri Sanjeev Sanyal, Member Economic Advisory Council to the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Vice Admiral Gurcharan Singh, Chief of Personnel, Vice Admiral Praveen Nair, Controller of Personal Services, Rear Admiral Sandeep Verma, CSO PNA West Naval Command, Rear Admiral Sritanu Guru, Flag Officer Gujarat Naval Area, Brigadier Isa Al-Nawi, Defense Attaché of the Sultanate of Oman to India, Mr. Anil Khemji and Mr. Asher, our guests and friends from Oman, Commander Vikas Chevron, the skipper, and his crew of INSV Kondinya, Master Shipwright Sri Babu Shankaran, representatives and artisans from the Hodi Innovations Private Limited, officers, sailors, distinguished guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and greetings to all of you. At the outset, I express my profound gratitude to our guest of honor, His Excellency Isa Saleh Abdullah Al-Shibani, Ambassador of the Sultanate of Oman to India, for accepting our invitation and sparing his valuable time to be with us this afternoon. Excellency, we are truly honored by your presence here today. Your kind participation in this event is a fitting reflection of the strong, warm, and time-tested bonds of friendship between our two great nations. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of immense pride for me to be here today to flag off this historic maiden voyage of INSV Kondinya. For us, this ship is not just a unique vessel taking to the seas. It is a live example of India's rich maritime legacy being revived with high dedication, passionate scholarship and sense of history, skilled craftsmanship, and unmatched professional rigor. From the Navy's perspective, INSV Kondinya represents a remarkable confluence of history, engineering, and seamanship. The Indian Navy has been associated with this project from the very beginning, from conceptualizing the vessel based on